welcome to our 61st Ask Tamily interview. We are going to be talking to Rebecca. Her Instagram name is This is Rebecca Farah, and she is joining in just a moment. Just connecting. It's always the most critical time. Here we go. Hi!
Hello! Hi. Right, I have it the right way, right?
Looks you do, yes.
Okay, good.
Good.
Hello! Yay!
Force.
I'm so excited!
You've been the best Ask Tamily advertiser I've ever had. I love it. I love your countdown. It's so exciting.
Good. Well, I hope some people tune in, and if not, they can watch it later, so that's fine.
True. So we will ask you some planned questions, but we'll scroll through the chat and ask anything that anyone wants to type in. So I guess some people are joining. You guys can go ahead and start typing in your questions. But we'll kick it off with our favorite question. And Rebecca, we would like to know, when and how did you start doing the Tracy Anderson method?
I was thinking about this because I think this is probably one of the most popular questions on this. And I don't really know so I know when I got interested, because I've been obsessed with Gwyneth Paltrow since I was a teenager. I just wish that I always had long, poker straight, blonde hair in the 90s when everything was super, super straight. I was obsessed with Sliding Doors, Emma, Great Expectations. Like, I just loved everything and still love everything about her aesthetic. And I remember watching or seeing things in magazines with her and Tracy Anderson and Madonna. I didn't really know who Tracy Anderson was. I didn't even know her name was Tracy Anderson, but there was like pictures, paparazzi pictures of them working out together in London, and I always loved the way that she looked. And then I think I saw something on Oprah that she was on after just having had her baby or something, and she talked about Tracy, and they did the workout in her place in California, and so that's when I really figured out that there was a name associated and blah, 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 blah. But at that time, I don't know if you were able to do the Metamorphosis program yet. I think she had the DVDs, but I didn't even know she had DVDs. I jumped into Metamorphosis, and I did that in 2013. So, I mean, it was sort of a long time of being obsessed. And then, so 2013 is when I started doing the Meta. And I think I started with glute-centric, and then I switched to omni-centric. And I did that sort of for about 2 years. Actually, does that even make sense? No, I did that for more than 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, because I think I stopped for a bit and then I started again. I was an avid runner before, and so I did it for a couple years. And then last summer, when they did, summer of 2018, where they did the free month of August, because I'd seen everybody's things on Instagram by that point. I was sort of well infiltrated in the Tamily community. I started it, and I really, I went straight into do the Attain, and I got my ass handed to me. I was like this, because I was like, oh, I've been doing continuity for a while. What should I do? But I was like, oh, well, if you're comfortable, just do Attain. I'm like, okay. I did one class, and I remember I was so sore. I was beyond sore. Where my muscle had seized up. I couldn't do the next couple days. But then I said, okay, I think I need to start sort of more of a beginner level. So I started with the fundamentals, and I did that for a while. And now I'm sort of back between fundamentals and Attain, depending on the day of the week and the workout.
So how long have you been streaming then? 3 years?
So I've been streaming since last August. So that would be what, like a year and a bit?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And before that, I was doing Meta.
Okay. And how long were you doing? Up to what level did you do continuity?
I was in year 2, because the thing is, I took breaks and things like that. So then I would start again. I mean, one thing that I will say about myself, which, I mean, I'm going to be completely candid, is I'm so bad with being good with consistency. I don't do anything else. So when I'm not being consistent with Tracy, it's not like I'm off at the gym, doing weights. But, I'm pretty bad with consistency. I'm trying to get better, but, I mean, I think 5 days a week for me is amazing. The reality is I usually do 4. So, I mean,
we're
you do what you
all in there. Like, honestly, it's just so good for the Tamily to hear something other than like, I work out 7 days a week and it's so easy.
Or like blah blah. Shut up.
We went there, it's real, and we're in it together.
No, 1,000%. And I know that, you know, some people, and I really wish I was like this, but people say, you know, when I'm having a bad day and I don't want to work out, I just look to Instagram, and there, you know, people are, and I'm like, I don't look at Instagram, because if I know I look at Instagram, I'm going to feel guilty about wanting to, and I'm like, no, I'm just not even, I'm going out, I'm going to brunch, I'm going to have a glass of wine.
Right.
I'm not going to watch you do your workouts.
So do you do dance cardio as well as the workout?
No, I don't. And the reason why I don't, I mean, I don't. Like, I've done it a couple times, but I don't really do it. I thought, so in the meta program, it sort of is the program is you do the 30 minutes and you do the dance cardio and you do that for 10 days, etc. And then I think what's really helpful is when you listen to the Ask Tracy, and just listening to her talk on various YouTube things, I came to understand that if it's sort of not something that you need, based on whatever criteria, that you don't need to do it, that muscular structure is more than enough. And sometimes if you're overdoing it with muscular structure and dance cardio, it can actually have negative effects. So for me, I don't do the dance cardio. I love to dance. I just don't. I think there was one time last Christmas where I just didn't want to do the muscular structure, and I just felt like dancing. But no, it's not part of my routine.
So since you've been doing the method, what kind of results have you seen, like both physical and not physical?
Okay, so physical, I mean, 1,000%, and it's really hard unless you do the method to really sort of get through to someone that says, oh no, but you have a dancer's body, or you're just naturally slim. And I will say, yes, I'm very lucky. I have a high metabolism. I mean, I definitely feel like that has slowed, getting into my late 30s. However, I've always had a really bad cellulite problem. I put on weight in my bum and my hips, and so I used to run, I used to do lunges, etc., and I always saw a little bit of cellulite. And this has, I mean, not overnight, I mean, slowly. I think in the last 3 months, really, I've really seen the most change in my body. And for me, it's that cellulite. Like, the cellulite's sort of pretty much gone. My once square long behind is actually rounded. Like, I posted pictures on my Instagram. I was in a bikini this summer, which again is something that I wasn't really into. And I was looking at my bottom half, and I literally had like that separation between my backside and my bum, and then underneath my bum, and that's something that I've never ever had. And I worked out, my entire life, and so that. The other thing I think that's non-physical that sort of changed is just, I think, my approach to health and working out. As much as I try to be disciplined, I also am just not hard on myself when I don't, because I think stress, or what I've understood now about stress, it's worse for you than sort of trying to stressfully do a workout. And so I'm more in tune with sort of what I need that day. And okay, fine, I did 4 days this week, but if I need to sleep, I'm going to choose sleep over working out. If I just need to have a day where I just want to have a bath, go for a walk, watch a movie, I do that because I'm better for it the next day when I do work out, because I know I will. And I try never to go more than 2 full days of not working out. So I think sort of that's the approach that has changed, more so about how I keep my wellness, like how I keep myself fit.
Right. That's such an important thing to
right?
Like, especially about the stress. That's so key.
1,000%, and that's why I say, like, for some people it's motivation to watch everybody working out. Sometimes for me, sometimes it's stress, because I'm like, oh, I just cannot mentally do this right now, and I feel bad because all these people are performing the method so amazing, and they're on like day 3 out of 4 of the workout, and I haven't only done day 1, and
right.
I'm like, but you guys do your thing. I'm just going to shut down Instagram for the day, and I'm not going to, and I'll be okay with that.
Yeah, it's about balance.
1,000%, and you got to just sort of do what works for you. It's just life is too short to be miserable and self-critical all the time.
So what would be your advice to someone that's brand new to doing the method? They're right in the beginning and, you're years into it.
I would say, well, number one, a lot of people, I think the biggest thing that I come up against is when someone is coming from a traditional gym setting or yoga setting or whatever it is the cost is what a lot of people start with. I'm in Canada, so in Canada it works out to be $120 a month, which is more than most general gym. It's double most general gym memberships. So already they're going, well, what the hell? I could join, Barry's boot camp or Equinox, which I think is much more expensive. It's sort of why would I? Then I said, but at the same time, the reason why I'm having a conversation with them is because they're, what are you doing? You look great, blah, 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 blah. So there is an interest. So it's like, okay, well, this is what I do. This is how I do it. I show them my Instagram. I'm like, well, I can never do that. I'm like, yeah, but I didn't start here. And so then I take them to people like Christina Peachy Bottom has old videos of when she first started out. And I take them to, I don't know her first name, Change Girl.
I think Tracy, actually.
Yeah, so she, I think, is like one of the biggest inspiration people. But I'm like, look, I said, she is a woman of a certain age, and look, she's way better than and I could never be like, she's fantastic. And the befores and afters, and they're like, wow, wow, wow. And so I say, look, do the 30-day, do the 14-day trial, start at the beginners, and just see if you even like it. And then have a conversation with what that means after, or come and do a class. I've got like a gym yoga place in my building, so come and do one with me. I'll do beginners with you. There's a couple of friends of mine that have done it based on that conversation I've had with them, and they're still sticking with it. And this has almost been a year in from last year. They love it, and they were diehard CrossFitters. Like, talk about totally different, right?
All right.
Or they were like yoga. My best friend was a yoga instructor. She went to India for 3 months. She's been doing it for 10 years. And she's got the classic pear-shaped body type. She's Tracy's height. Okay. And in all the years that I've seen her, she's teeny tiny. She's never looked the way she's looked. And she worked out like 7 days a week doing yoga, And she's smaller than she ever, we've known each other since we were 7. She's never been as small as she has. And she's vain like I am, so she keeps going. I think part of the vanity is the result, right? You see results, you want to keep going, whatever that looks like.
Yeah, also like the adrenaline and the endorphins, but the results are very motivating.
Right? I mean, let's just be real here. We all want to look good in our own bodies, right? We all want to feel a certain way, and there's nothing like, I think, not me personally, but there's a lot of, I think, women that I've heard where they were really into a certain workout that they did for years, and they were frustrated because, after having children, their body changed, or getting older and their body changed, and they just never, ever had the workouts. It's just, I can see it can be completely demoralizing when you're working your, proverbial ass off, and nothing really shows to the extent that you want it to show.
Exactly. And also the whole thing about like kind of hitting a plateau if something stops working. But to like hear you say, okay, you've been doing it for years, and in the last 3 months you've seen results you've never seen. Like, that is amazing.
Right. Talk about was it slow and steady wins the race? And for me, I'm like quick, like, come on, let's do this. But I think on the flip side of that, that's kept me in it, is that I actually enjoy it, right? No week is the same. It changes every week. There's a community around it. I find Tracy's just information just so invaluable. And now that she's been doing those sort of little chats, 2 to 5 minute chats at the end of the workouts, I love those. I'll often skip to the end on, like when I'm viewing the new workout, I'll skip to the end of the workout that I want to do and listen to the pearls, because I find that more motivating than anything.
Absolutely. Yeah, I never watch the breakdown, but I'll go to listen to her for that little speech.
Yeah, I used to be sort of like, okay, I'm going to watch the breakdown, but I actually stopped watching the breakdown, and I think it was sort of, unless I need to, I'll go back and be like, okay, I'm really not getting this. But there was a class a couple months ago where she was really trying to get you to do it sort of more as a dance and not to think about it so much, and just it's to do with the flow, and that really spoke to me, and I found that the less sort of hung up I was on this angle and just kind of doing it, it kind of instinctually just comes in it. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do have to watch the breakdown.
Yeah, especially when she does it differently on one side than the other.
That's confusing, yeah. And sometimes you just can't when the angles are so subtle between moves. Sometimes you do have to watch it because it's not. I'm just reading people's comments. Not always clear unless you watch the breakdown. And sometimes, especially like I love Courtney so much. She just makes me laugh so hard. But like she's so clear, and so that really helps me just get it right. Yeah.
So, have you faced any challenges in doing the method?
Consistency, which sounds ridiculous given how I've just sort of said that I love it and the results, and it's consistency for me. I'm trying to figure out. I think part of what I have been able to figure out as to why, like, I'm not getting, like, because I'd be happy if I could just consistently do 5 days. There's going to be weeks where you do 4, 3, 2, or maybe not even anything if you're sick or whatever. But I think it's to do with the class in which that I'm doing. And sometimes if I'm not connecting with the class, I kind of just start loathing doing it. And Rebecca, last name is with a W, Wordsmith. But yeah, she lives in Toronto. I met her, and she had been to a Vitality Week, and she said something to me a couple months ago that really stuck with me and have helped me. She says, Tracy said, like, if you don't connect with the week workout, don't do it. Like, do fundamentals or do attain or whatever. And so it gave me the permission to not be so hard on myself when I'm at an attain level and I jump down to fundamentals. Because at the end of the day, I always think a workout is better than no workout.
Right.
So I now give myself permission where today, for example, was my first day during this week. Okay, so I'm on day 1. I'm not on day 3, people. I'm on day 1. But I looked at the attain. I'm like, okay, this is good. I've been having some shoulder issues, and I was like, no, attain's not too choreographic, so I'm going to do it. And I did the arms, and I started with the thing, and I'm like, nope. So I switched to the legs of fundamental, and I loved it. It was really challenging. I'm already sore, so I'll continue with that. Whereas before, I would have struggled through attain, probably done 3 moves out of every sequence.
Right.
Just be miserable, yeah. and then that causes stress, and it's all the So I came out of the workout going, woohoo.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny, there's the pressure that we put on ourselves about, I have to stay in attain because I'm going to attain. They're all difficult workouts. They're all good workouts.
They are, 1,000%. Do you switch between, do you have weeks where you'll go from one to the other? Or
I mostly do fundamentals. I've only tried a couple of the attain classes. And sometimes I'll do 3 moves of attain and then switch. But
yeah,
I'd like to know,
but you try, and it's not for you, and you.
Yeah, I always just find the flow better in fundamental too, for some reason. Other than if I absolutely hate the fundamental arms, then I will do attain arms and fundamental legs.
Well, I think that's it as well, because is it Aggie Hegwin? Is that her handle?
Yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah, so she, I think, does fundamentals mostly, and she's been doing the streaming for a long time. So anyway, it's just sort of, at the end of the day, you just got to figure out what works for you. And yes, I think it's invaluable, some of the things that Tracy wants you to get out of the method and the prescribed thing that she would ideally like you to do. But you got to live your life. You got to be happy. You got to, if it's first thing in the morning you do your workout, you want to be in a good mood when you go to work, right? Or if it's last thing at night before you go to bed, just freaking do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
Life is too short.
Absolutely.
So much.
So we have 2 questions in the chat for you.
Yay!
What are you most looking forward to right now?
Oh, goodness. What am I most looking forward to? In the short term, I'm going to New York in October, and I'm going to really try to go to a studio. I've never been to a Tracy Anderson studio. And every time I'm in New York, again, it's about life and enjoying the things about life. I usually bring my workout stuff with me if it's more than a 2-day trip. But it's New York, and I see friends, and I go to dinner, and I drink lots of wine, sometimes too much wine, and I'm going to sleep in, and the next morning I'm off to do the workout. But this time, I think I'm gonna try. I'm gonna make it concerted to do a really early morning class because it will work with my work schedule because it's kind of a work vacation trip. But that's what I'm most looking forward to. So if anybody's in New York, October 1st to the 5th, let me know because I'd love to go to a studio with you.
Absolutely, they will all go.
Yeah, good.
I would go, but I'll be in North.
Where are you? Where do you live?
I live on the border of North and South Carolina now. I moved a month ago from Florida.
Do you like it? Your face is like...
Florida.
I've been to Charleston in South Carolina. Oh, it's beautiful.
Charleston.
It's stunning.
Yes. I was there last weekend, and I was like, this feels like home. I just don't know if the other part of the state does.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Yeah. Okay, so we have another question, which is from Nicole. And she says, do you use your own playlist, or do you just go with Tracy's music?
I go with Tracy's music, particularly for the arms, because there's a rhythm and a beat, right? I feel like as in the last 2 weeks, she's gone back to regular music versus sort of the remixes she's done. I actually really love the remix. I know there was a sort of people were not fans, but I actually did because it, when like the music stops and a new song comes on, you're like, I freaking hate this song, and you're like, oh, get me through this sequence. That really nexted all of that for me, so I was able to keep going. The music's been really good. There's been a couple times where I just did not like the music for the legs, and then I did use my own playlist, but that requires me to put a playlist together, so I'm not constantly skipping the next song on Spotify, and it takes time, and who has the time? Yeah. Enough that I'm doing the workouts.
Exactly.
I use Tracy's playlist, yeah.
So you said you have never been to a studio. Have you been to a Vitality Week?
Okay, let me tell you something about Vitality Weeks. Listen, okay, I'm going to be really real here. So, and I'm not the only one, because when she does ask Tracy questions, Instagram has a certain way of putting things out there. I think, like, I'm a single woman. I have rent to pay. I have all these other things. I don't have a dual income household, and I live in an expensive Canadian city. And so for me, it's really expensive. Like, it's really expensive. I would love to go, and I'm going, and I will go. But the last couple of years, I've been traveling, and I'm moving between different countries and starting new jobs, and it's just not in my wheelhouse right now to be able to spend that kind of money for, is it 4 days, 3 days?
Usually, yeah, 4.
Yeah, because it's like $1,000 or something plus dollars, plus hotel, plus plus it's expensive. I mean, I'm gonna be so. When I first started streaming, it took me time to get the heater, to get the humidifier, to get the weights, all this other stuff because I was really committed to doing it. But I was swapping and changing between 2 pairs of workout leggings and 2 tops. I just do not have the money to spend $100 or $60 or whatever these fabulous outfits are online. I get my workout stuff mostly from eBay.
Me too.
99 cents for a bra and $5.99 for leggings, which always makes me laugh. When it's not like in a bad way. It's like, oh my God, I love your top. I'm like, eBay, 99 cents. I'm like, it's not, whatever it is, but. So, no, I haven't. I would love to, but it's so crazy expensive. And, and even her studios, like to do a drop-in at her studios, isn't it like $48 or $45 or something crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah, so in Canadian, that's like $60.
But, if you do 4 days of workouts at the studio, it's $160. So, like, I went to New York for 5 days with a friend, and we did our own Vitality Week. And stayed with somebody for free. So, and I thought it would be so different that it's not Tracy teaching every class, but those trainers are unbelievable. And it was so cool to, like, see different trainers every day and stuff. Like,
yeah. No, okay, you know what? This is my commitment to you. I am going to go to a studio in New York.
Yes, do it.
God damn it! I put up with that heat.
Oh, you're gonna love it.
I live in an open concept apartment. It's very difficult to get it warm, and I'm not a huge fan of heat, but I do have in the winter I have a humidifier, etc. going. So Rebecca Wartzman in Toronto, I feel like I'm bastardizing her name, but she has a studio that she works out at in Toronto, which I'm not going to name because it might get her in trouble. But we work out there, so she'll get us in, and she closes the doors. It's a yoga studio. Okay. Closes the doors, gets the heaters going. And so I did that for the first time in the summer. A whole group of us went. Barbara, Tamily, Happiness went. Tam in Toronto went. It was a whole group of us. It was so much fun. But I'd never worked out in heat. And apparently the heat in that room was not even close to what's in those studios. But this was real heat. Like, I started the first song of the Arms and I was drenched in sweat. And I think my body went into shock because afterwards I literally couldn't, I was wobbly. I saw stars. And I was so sore the next day. And it was a class I'd already done. It was fundamentals. It was an okay fundamentals class. I didn't work out for the rest of that week. My body was just like, I never want to work out. The heat is something else.
Oh, yeah.
It's a whole other level. If I did 4 days a week in that kind of heat, that'd be enough for me.
Right. For real. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
You're gonna do it and you're gonna love it.
No, I'm gonna do it. I'll do it. You got it. Bucket list. Check.
Can you tell us something that you learned from Tracy?
Oh my goodness, so much stuff. Something that I learned. I think I learned a lot about the whole, just about how your body reacts to workouts and how it reacts negatively or positively. So the whole idea of, working out too much can age you, working out too little can age you. I've learned a little bit about diet. I've learned about, I think, just being more aware of my body, like in terms of health, in terms of just checking in with myself, how I'm feeling, and just not to put so much pressure on myself because of how that all relates to stress. There's so much stuff that I've learned. I think that one thing that I've never seen from other trainers or even people in the health or wellness or anything is she's incredibly smart, and she's a very nerdy science. Like, you can tell, like, she reads all these, I think she reads like literally medical journal, like in terms of the specific data that she reads. Because she'll go off on a time like, I was reading that 9/10 of men, use like this one little muscle, which, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you're not reading this in the New York Times. You are going to like the New York Library and pulling medical, but I think this is how, much she's really into it. I love the thing, last week at Fundamentals, her little talk, she talked about sort of how you move your body and what's realistic, etc. And she's like, she used the metaphor of her daughter, Penny, who jumps around and plays, and she's very free with her movements. And she's like, you don't see Penny pushing like 100 pounds across the living room floor. It just doesn't. That's not how we are as humans. It just is so, and that just made me laugh. But I've learned so much. I just can't even think of how much.
Well, that was actually a lot. So that's very good. What is your philosophy about diet and nutrition?
Oh my God, do what makes you happy, unless your doctor is seriously telling you otherwise. I like to eat a lot. I like wine. I went through a period in my 20s where I was, it was that whole, it was the Atkins low carb. It was the late 90s where nobody was eating anything and everybody wanted to be stick skinny and all the rest of it. And so I definitely sort of grew up around that. So there was that pressure, but I think it just comes with getting older, more mature. And I went through cancer in 2013. So that was a whole new realization of how important and how humbled I was by my body. I don't deprive myself of anything. I find if you deprive yourself, you create craziness in your head. and you eat 10 times more of everything because you can't have it. I had to go on this doctor prescribed no sugar diet just because I was having tummy issues. And the minute that I could eat sugar, I ate cake, pancakes, cookies, all in a day. Like, it was disgusting. I was disgusted with myself. I turned into a crazy person.
That sounds so fun.
But I felt like crap after. I think everything in moderation. I mean, it's the 80-20 rule, right? So for me, I try and eat well during the week. I prep my meals for work, which really helps. It also saves money. And then the weekends, all bets are off. Like, after this, I did my workout, but I'm going for brunch at a French restaurant where I'm going to have lots of croissants and mimosas and, hollandaise and all that other crap. But for me, I grew up eating pretty well. My mother always made home-cooked meals, so I do like good food. If I eat like crap over a course of many days, I don't feel good, and then I crave a salad. But I mean, you gotta live. I feel so bad on a Friday night where you're in the ice cream aisle and there's still some women there that you can tell they're meticulously going over the ingredients list. I'm like, if you're doing that to Haagen-Dazs, go back to the salad aisle. You're in the wrong aisle to be doing that. I almost wish they wouldn't even put the calories on Haagen-Dazs. I know it's bad, but I need it. It's Friday. Cheers.
Right.
I mean, that's my philosophy. Take it
Excellent philosophy. Do you have any tips for doing the method while traveling?
Yes, and this has been learned through this year because I recently, last year, I started a job where travel has become quite a bit of my routine. And so at the beginning, I traveled with everything. I had my 5 pounds, my 3 pounds, my ankle weights, the 2 sets. And so it was really interesting trying to spread them out in the luggage and it being overweight. And it was hell on earth because then I had my it just wasn't good. And then, of course, when I got to the place that I was at, I'd work out maybe 1 or 2 days because it's difficult when you travel, I find. Then I watched, who's the one, the aerial yoga woman, what's her name? Yeah, so she talked about the fact that when she travels, she brings her ankle weights, and I think even just 1 set, I think the lighter ones, I want to say, and she'll use those for the arms, and she'll use those for the legs, and I think she mostly does attain. And she says, when she's traveling, it's not about, I didn't have the right, it's just I did something. And so I was like, oh my God, great. It's another thing about doing what you can, when you can, where you can. And so now, like when I go to New York in October, I'm going to bring my small ankle weights and 1 workout outfit. And if I do it, I do it. I'm going to, because I'm going to the studio now. Don't try to, I would say, unless, you don't mind doing it, just less is more. Bring your workout clothes, bring a pair of ankle weights, because you're not going to find those in your hotel gym if you're at a hotel. You might be able to find the 5 pounds. Sometimes they don't really have 3 pounds.
Right.
But just bring your small ankle weights, and it just makes it easier for your, if you're carrying on luggage or if you're checking luggage in terms of weight, less is more. And the fact that you even do it on vacation when you're traveling that's half the battle. So don't worry about so much the equipment.
Right. Yeah, that's really good because, even if you did it with no equipment at all, it's still a workout.
1,000%. You know what? And even like maybe this trip, because I'm bringing so much other stuff, I might not even bring the hand weights. And for me, I try to work out in hotel rooms. Otherwise, I'll scope out the gym when I arrive to have an idea. Some gyms are better than others, but typically I've been pretty lucky, touch wood, that my hotel rooms have been more than sufficient to do a workout. And then usually I'm usually doing fundamentals or multitask.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyone that has any questions, please type them in the chat, and I will scroll through to make sure that I didn't miss any. But we would also like to know if you have received any advice from the Tamily that has been impactful to you.
Any advice from the Tamily? I think watching Ask Tamily has been very insightful to see how everybody sort of manages their lives. The one thing that I got advice from Loretta a while ago, and I think she brought it up in her interview with you, is some of these extensions that these women do, you'd think that they were ex-ballerina, you know, or had been in the circus, or they're just so beautiful how they can do these extensions. Like, I'm lucky if I get a right angle. Like, honestly, my leg doesn't go up that high. It just won't. And so she said, you know, she visualizes where the leg is supposed to be. And so I've started, I do incorporate that. It just depends. I find when there's a couple weeks where Tracy does a lot of sort of those planks with the legs up in the air, my body starts being able to get a little bit higher just because I'm doing them week after week of different varieties. But the minute that she doesn't do them so often, I feel like my body starts going back to not being able to lift them. So I think that was some advice. And then the other stuff was more about equipment when I was, you know, sorting out and starting up my little in-home studio with streaming, what equipment to buy, you know, all that kind of stuff.
So where do you work out in your home, and what's your normal time?
I work out right here. I move all my furniture out of the way, and then I have one of those really lovely square one mats. It's an investment, but if you have the space, she does different sizes, but if you have the space and the money, I would recommend it, because if you have a yoga mat and you do it how they do in the studios, that would drive me nuts trying to rearrange it.
Yeah.
And so I have the square one mat. I move some of the furniture around, and that's where I do it. It's the only place I can do it in my apartment because it's not big. So.
And what's your little routine of when you do the workout?
I have to do the workout first thing in the morning, otherwise I won't do it. Period. You know, hats off to you that you can do it late at night. Good for you. For me, I have to do it in the morning. So typically on the weekdays, I wake up anywhere between 5 and 6 a.m. I get my workout in, and then I get to the office for 9. And then when I come home, just because for me, I'm an early bird anyway, so I will caveat that. Not everyone's an early bird, so I am one of those annoying people that, yay, it's the morning, good morning. So I do that, and then, because by the time I get home, I want to do nothing but have a bath and watch trash television. honestly, I can't, it's always been a morning thing for me, and then I can just start my day. So, but again, you have to do what works for you.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I mean, I know scientifically it's probably better to do it in the morning, but I feel like I'm going to hit myself in the face with weight if I work out at 5 a.m.
So drowsy, yeah.
I'm like,
no, fair enough. That's
no,
it's not for everyone.
Right.
And off to these women that I see that, you know, goodness, like I'm single, I have no kitties, and they're doing it literally with their toddlers scribbling around them, and I'm like, bloody hell, you know, if they can do it, I can do it.
Exactly. So we have a question from Tamily Love. I know you said about this before, but she's asking if you do cardio, dance, or other types of cardio.
No, I don't. I just do the muscular structure stuff, and then, but I walk a lot. I don't have a car, so I walk to work. My commute to work is probably, I guess, round trip is like 3 miles. So I do that every day, maybe a little bit less. I walk a lot, but no, I don't run anymore. Excuse me. I don't do the elliptical anymore. I don't do any of those gym sort of things, because now I get bored. I don't know how I could sit on the treadmill all those years ago or run all those years ago. Because now I think your body's so wired to be stimulated just through the method. So I walk.
So when did you stop running? Were you ever doing Tracy and running still?
I think for the first week, and then I was so sore, and this is when I was doing continuity, so I was so sore doing dance, cardio, and the mat work, that there was just no way that I could run. And also I wanted to sort of challenge myself to really see if this was going to change my body, and sure enough it did. But one thing that I found that was really tough is with the dance cardio, when you were doing the continuity, is just how hard it is on your legs and your joints, because we don't have those amazing whatever superpower she has. So, and I don't know any shoe that, I mean, certain shoes might help, but I just don't know any other thing that would make that better. Like, it was really hard on my knees and my joints and my shins, and so yeah.
Um, do you have a motivational quote that you would like to share with the Tamily?
A motivational quote. Oh, for God's sakes. We're all just doing the best we can. Honestly. It's so true. It's so true. And I think with Instagram, you know, especially within the Tracy Anderson community, I think it's extremely wonderful and motivating, and there's no cattiness or bitchiness that goes on in the comments. Everyone is truly positive and supporting, but I feel like there is, you know, there's a certain pressure sometimes to look a certain way when you work out, and everyone has all these fantastic, fabulous outfits, and they live these big, huge houses, and they go to like 50 Vitality weeks a year, and you know, it's just so, you know, but you don't see the other side of it, right? Where they probably, you know, they have work jobs or they have pressures from kids or et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's just, you got to remember, especially when, like this summer when people did the About Me July or the About Me August, it really gave you insight to a lot of people's lives that you just would never have known just watching their workouts on their Instagram. And so it really, I think, furthers that quote for me. And as I get older, it's just like everyone is doing the best they can. Nobody's life is perfect. And that's so cliche, but it's so true. Everyone's dealing with shit. And sometimes when you figure out what they're dealing with, you're like, I'll keep my shit, you can keep yours.
Yes. Yes. Like this, you know? I don't remember which workout it was, but in one of Tracy's little clips, she said, like, everyone has problems. You have problems. I have problems.
Yep.
Like, and she says it in this way that you're like, she definitely does. Like, you know, she's being totally real, and we all really do. Like, I know they're different, but they're there.
Yeah, and when you learn, and you just want to. You always think, oh, I wish I could have so-and-so's life. When you hear about so-and-so's life and their problems, you're like, you keep your problems. I'm good. Is there any other question? I thought I saw.
Happiness through Tam has a whole paragraph, so let's see what that says. What do you look for in a partner? What are the qualities you appreciate the most? Sorry that's not Tam related, but I have a friend.
Okay. Well, I did say people could ask me anything. What I look for in a partner. I would like someone age appropriate, so north of 36, south of 50. I think 50 is my top. I like someone. I'm attracted to intellectuals, so I think like for me, Matthew Broderick is like so like Matthew Broderick, but then I also like Anthony Bourdain, who is like such a bad boy, but you could listen to him speak forever, or Russell Brand. So someone that's intellectual, that's well traveled.
Okay.
Is that the whole question?
It looks
I appreciate intellect the most. Someone that's intelligent.
Okay.
You know, what did Joan Rivers say? What was it? Beauty fades, but stupid is forever.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay, well, Happiness said, okay, my friend is a doctor in linguistics. Sounds
perfect! Message me, darling. Message me after this.
Oh,
wonderful.
my goodness.
Does Elise live she lives in Hamilton, which is like an hour, I think, from Toronto?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we have another question from...
I'm going to marry a doctor.
It's not about matchmaking, though. She would like to know, do you read books? And if so, who is your favorite author?
Oh, my goodness, yes, I do read books. Not as much as I used to, just because I'm so I was actually talking to someone about this yesterday. I should read more books. I actually bought the new Handmaid's Tale, so I do like Margaret Atwood. Michael Ondaatje, who's another Canadian author, he's amazing. I read a lot of nonfiction, so any kind of biography. I read the Michelle Obama biography. I read this book called 740 Park, which was all about this very famous building on the Upper East Side, told through the lens of the doorman. So it's where like the Astors and the Vanderbilts used to live in like the 40s and 50s and going up through the 2000s. So I like all that kind of stuff.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
Okay. See if there's any other questions. That's our most recent question. We've never had a matchmaking experience on Accidentally.
I know, and everyone's like, yeah, go. That's hilarious. Yeah, set me up. I'll post pictures.
We know that would be so fun. We know where you live, but we would like to know what you do.
What do I do? Okay, so I work in the art world. I insure art collections is basically what I do. So anything from a museum to an art gallery to an artist to a collector, I insure those things. So it takes me all over the world, and I love what I do. There's only 4 of us in Canada that do what we do.
That is
it's very specialized, but I love it.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's not as glamorous as the Thomas Crown affair, which everyone thinks when I tell them what I do. Are you like that woman, Renee Russo? No, I'm not. I wish I had her wardrobe, but no, I'm not. She didn't. No, but yeah, I love it. It's great. It takes me to many different countries, different parts of Canada, and I get to see collections that the public will never see. So it's pretty cool. Yeah,
that is very cool.
Yeah, I really enjoy it.
Coolest jobs we've ever talked about on this. What is something important to you in your life that you would like to share with the Tamily?
Oh God, what is important to me? There's a lot that's important to me. I think in terms of the Tamily, I think what's important to me is the Tamily, and the reason why I say that is because it sort of stems from a value that I have in my life is just surround yourself with good people. Some of my best friends I can count on one hand, and I'm at the age now where I don't have a bunch of acquaintances. I have just very, very close friendships that, at the end of the day that something happens that, they're the person that you're going to call at 2 a.m. from the side of the road or to hide the body, and they'll do it. And I think that what's really nice is the Tamily, although, we're not in each other's lives every day on that level, I just love that everyone seems genuine and kind, and I have made really meaningful connections, and I'm drawn to authentic individuals, and I feel that more often than not, Tamily women are authentic and unapologetically not afraid to be themselves and show, not so attractive sides if asked, or sometimes not if asked, and it's kind of nice when people keep it real about what their day has been like or what their workout's been like or what they struggle with. I find that I just think that that's what connects us the most as human beings, I don't know.
Really.
Yeah.
Are you willing to talk to us a little bit about your experience with cancer in 2013?
Yes, it's actually on YouTube. So I was diagnosed with cervical cancer in 2013, and at the time I didn't, I had all the medical information, and I didn't have any first-hand accounts of women going through the treatment I was about to go through, and so I looked at YouTube, and I couldn't find any videos. So the day after diagnosis, I opened my laptop, and I started videoing myself, and now there's like 50-something videos about every single day of what I went through, but so I had cervical cancer stage 1B1, which means that it's not the same as stage 0 when you have HPV and they might like scrape it out of you or something. It's cancer, and so they were going to do a radical hysterectomy, which means they take out everything, all your reproductive stuff, but they couldn't because of some complications. So I did chemo and radiation. And so because of that, I can't have children, unfortunately. I have all my stuff, but I always say it's like a Western town with a hay barrel rolling through. And I'm on bioidentical hormones because I don't produce any hormones naturally. So I'm on the natural form of hormones because I'm young and it's important for heart health, etc. And so when I went through cancer, which was really the impetus to be like, okay, I need to start doing Tracy, was that because of bone density, I needed to be doing weight-bearing exercise. And I wasn't going to get that through running. That's the Coles Notes version of it. And so now I'm 6 years cancer free. I'm in remission as of last year. So they don't give you the remission label until 5 years out of cervical cancer. So yeah, it's all good.
Well, thank you for sharing that experience. I'm sure that makes a difference for some people. And now I have to go watch all of your YouTube videos.
Yeah, so it started off with doing that, and then I was like, okay, I'm better, and then people said, no, but we want to know about your lives. So I did a series called This Is 30, question mark, and so it's me living in London, dating, trying to date, and everything in between, and I did a video called it was like my review of the Tracy Anderson method, so there were a few people actually that are in the Tamily that started it because they had seen my YouTube video, which is really crazy. So that's kind of cool. Emily Hansen is one of them.
Okay.
And she's amazing with her friggin' leg extensions, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, how long is she? She only ever went into streaming, and she's been doing it for like 2 years. What the hell? Like, I can only get my legs to go here.
Yeah.
She's got all the way up. So
yeah, she has superpowers.
She's amazing, and her body has changed so much since she started. It's phenomenal, and she's really dedicated. I mean, you know, she has to travel. She's up at 5 a.m. doing the workout. Like, if I'm at 5 a.m., I want to be real. I have tea, I drink my water, I check my email. Yeah. So at about 5:30, I start. Mm-hmm. But no, she's doing it. Yeah, it's amazing.
It's amazing. But so, what is your YouTube handle? Nicole is asking.
This is 30.
Okay.
This is 30. So you can see I'm opening doors. But I mean, it's public. I mean, and I've left it all up there just because still to this day I get people that have just been diagnosed that will message me, and I had people from all over the world messaging me because there was no videos, and I was on ESPN. They have the Jimmy V week, and they put me on ESPN with some other bloggers. It was pretty crazy. That's why I went to Charleston. I was flown there to speak at a cancer conference. Like, it was pretty crazy bananas, and it was really it was a little YouTube video that could, I don't know. Yeah. But yeah.
P. Gonzalez is asking, do you think you will be doing your YouTube videos? So, like, are you going to do more? Do you do them ever?
So I stopped doing them January of this year just because I had moved cities. My life has very much changed. I talk about it on my YouTube channel. So is that I went through cancer and a divorce at the same time. So I was heartbroken and dealing with a potentially terminal illness. So, you know, that was in 2013, and my life has very much changed. And instead of videoing my life all the time, I just want to go ahead and live it a bit. So I don't think I will be doing YouTube videos anymore. Never say never, but at this point in time, no. But I get asked that a lot if I'm going to come back, which is really sweet, but I don't know. Probably not.
Well, now all the Ask Tamily viewers are going to go view it, and then you're going to have all these more views on YouTube.
Yeah.
Plus, this interview is going to go on YouTube, so...
Yes.
Up the pages. And Nicole said that she's going to ask you how to enhance our Ask Tamily YouTube channel.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Maybe you're enhancer. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's what she said. Yeah, happy to help. Happy to help.
Fantastic. Can you share with us your greatest takeaway from a prior Ask Tamily interview? Or maybe you already did about Loretta.
Yeah, I think Loretta sort of, you know, talked about like the leg extensions. But the biggest thing, honestly, that really sort of changed the game, just because I felt such pressure. If I was at the attain level, that Tracy would want me to stick with attain and do attain, and no matter what the workout was, and no matter what the music was, like do attain. And, you know, hearing what Rebecca told me about what she had said at the Vitality Week really gave me the permission to be like, oh, it's okay. Attain for me sucked this week. I'm doing fundamentals, and it's okay. It's not going to mess up the design.
Right.
I'm all like, oh no, is this going to mess up the design? I'm not doing like the right arms. My design is
right. Yeah.
You know? So I think that's the biggest takeaway is, like, if you're not connecting with it, move on. Do something else. Do another one of the workouts. And Muna said the same thing to me. She was sort of very much you know, you see her doing her workout every day when I wake up, just because she's in, I believe is she in Dubai, or is she in, I think it's Dubai. Where is she? I forget which one of the Emirates she's in. But she's already done her workout when I wake up in the morning, obviously because of the time difference. But she says, there's some days where I just do arms because I don't have the time or motivation or whatever it is. So, even all these, Tamily women that are like the superstars, I call them, they're human.
Right. Yes. That's why I like learning about everybody. Yes. There's a few that are.
Yeah, like Loretta, like she was I love Loretta. I was like, I can't wait to hear your voice because I've never heard you speak. Like you're like like you just don't speak at all. And then hearing her, I'm like, yeah, but you're still, what you see is what you're still like a rock star. Like you still do it. But she looks at it like it's truly like an athlete, and that's a totally different mindset than how I look at it. And everyone has their own way to think, but that totally makes sense as to how she's so good because it really is a sport for her.
Right.
And that also really made me sense from the conversation she's coming from versus me, where it's like I did day 4.
Right.
Amazing.
We're proud of you.
I'm proud of me. It's all good.
Towards the end of our hour, and Instagram will cut us off with no warning. But before that happens, is there anything else that you would like to say to the Tamily while you have this audience?
I would like to say I really enjoy all of you. I think you guys are so supportive and you're so lovely, and I wish that I had as much. Okay. Do you have is there something like it's talk about like just coming off Loretta saying it's like sport that she looks this, but people are so good at keeping up with the Instagram messaging and the Instagram comments and writing essays, and I'm just like I feel so bad sometimes because I don't have the time always to get back to every single person with every single comment, and I'm like, oh shoot, I should really have so I find I'm going to make a better concerted effort at really responding to people when they message me or responding in longer ways to them. But I find that I just think that it's just so lovely how all these women and some men have come together, and it's quite extraordinary. I don't know any other community. I mean, even CrossFit, I don't know any other community because CrossFit's quite diehard with their community. But the way that we are so loving and coming from just, I think, a really emotionally, not just physically, but an emotionally healthy place, which I think is really important. So that's what I love getting out of all of the Tamily. I think it's just really healthy. It's not toxic.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
there's
Exactly.
Oh, thank you. I'm just reading some people's comments. Right?
Yes, people are loving hearing your
Okay, if no one has any more questions.
Doesn't look like it.
Any more matchmaking anybody wants to do? I will travel.
Have an update.
I will travel
weekly videos. You have to YouTube about the dating.
Oh, if I am the doctor? I feel like, did you ever watch Beaches with Bette Midler?
Uh-huh.
She goes, a doctor, I'm going to marry a doctor. Do you remember?
Oh my gosh.
And the blue suit, whatever she was wearing, with that awful wig.
Yeah. That's funny. Oh, his name is Dan.
His name is Dan.
Yeah.
Daniel. All right, guys, we got an update. His name is Dan.
All right, we need more updates soon. But Rebecca, thank you for an amazing interview. We really love speaking to you and getting to know you better. So, thanks for being interview 61, Emily, and we'll see you soon. We'll get